This computer. Okay, we're good.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting. Again, my name is Isaac Musial. I'm the chair of the marketing committee. And before we begin, I'd like to just do maybe a quick special shout out to two new committee members that we have with us here this morning. I have both Melissa Smits and Caitlin Dover here with us this morning. So on behalf of the rest of the board, I'd like to just welcome them. And if maybe we can spend a quick couple minutes, maybe 30 seconds each, just quickly introducing ourselves, and then I'll give Melissa and Caitlin each the opportunity to introduce themselves so that they know the various players sitting around the table this morning. So maybe starting with, I'm looking at the name of individuals here. So maybe Taylor, why don't you start?
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Taylor. I'm the marketing and communications coordinator for the BIA. So I work alongside Angela every day.
Perfect. Clarissa, welcome this morning. Good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm Clarissa. I've been on maternity leave for the past 3 months, so this is my first meeting back. And I'm with Inclusive Accounting, and I guess I've been on the marketing committee for, I think, a year now or so.
Yep, that's about right, I think. Yeah, for sure. How about Amber?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amber. I'm the Director of Sales of the Holiday Inn Express at 67 Simcoe. I'm also on the events committee, and have a great day.
Okay, thanks, Amber. Kim.
Okay, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Kim Lapine, and I'm Director of Health Promotion and Community Development Services at Caria Community Health Center, which is partnering with the BIA and the City of Oshawa for the Welcoming Streets Homelessness Initiative.
Awesome, and welcome this morning, Kim. And my name is Isaac. As I mentioned, I'm the chair of the marketing committee and partner and wealth advisor at Compass Wealth Partners here in downtown Oshawa. Melissa, how about a couple quick points to tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin here?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Melissa. I have a background in business marketing, as well as I'm a student with Durham College in the Advertising Marketing Communications program, which I should graduate from in April. I also work with the Office of Research, Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Durham College as their digital marketing assistant, and I do all their social media marketing initiatives with them. And a long-term resident of downtown. I've been downtown about 17 years or so. I've lived here, so very excited to get started.
Awesome, and we're very excited to have you on the committee, Melissa. And Caitlin, how about yourself?
So I'm Caitlin Dover, and I am the service manager at Bistro 67 at Durham College, which I'm sure you're obviously familiar with. Yeah, so I take, in addition to a lot of the obvious front of house parts of the restaurant, I do a lot of the marketing for that as well, including the social media and promotions and magazines and stuff like that as well.
We work together sometimes.
Really?
Share a lot of your stuff.
There you go.
And we had a couple other people slip into the room. You want to give a quick introduction, Rick?
Sure, it's Councilor Rick Kerr. It's a little different finding a parking spot at 10 than it is at 8 or 9. So pardon my tardiness, but I'll get to know you a little better. I didn't get your full introduction, but we can do that later. And thanks for being here.
And Ivano.
Hi, Ivano Labrachosa. I just came in. Sorry I'm late. I was running around doing a bunch of other things. So.
And so thanks for everyone for joining us. And I just want to say both Melissa and Caitlin, we're very excited to have you on the committee. I just want to just quickly say that at this committee level, we're very interested in getting everyone's feedback and participation. So we definitely want to make you feel like your opinions are welcome, your ideas are welcome, and really look forward to your participation in the committee. So thanks for joining us. Moving on to item number 3 on the agenda, we need to get to acceptance of today's agenda. So has everyone had a chance to review today's agenda? And can I get a motion to accept today's agenda?
Don't be shy.
I can do that. I'll motion.
Okay, who was that?
That's Clarissa.
Oh, that's Clarissa.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Clarissa motions.
Amber will second the motion.
Amber seconds. Okay. Sorry?
Any opposed? That's
Yes, any opposed? Thank you, Angela. Angela's going to help hold me straight here. I hearing none.
Carried.
Yeah, that motion is carried. So on to item number 4. Any declarations of conflict today? Do we have any? Okay, I'm hearing none. So moving on to number 5 of the agenda, we have a delegation
Just
today.
5 minutes.
Today, yes, and yes, to our delegate, Christopher Parkinson. Christopher, we have 5 minutes to do today's presentation. Angela, are we going to keep time?
Yeah, I'm going to keep
Maybe
time
give
'cause I'm a pain.
him a note at 2 minutes and 1 minute. That,
Yeah.
And
where
do
we're
we
at.
have the possibility at the committee level to move to extend by 2 minutes if delegates not quite finish their points?
I think
Yeah.
generally speaking, like
Yes.
we leave a little bit of flexibility. Like it's not a hard
Yeah.
stop, but definitely
But we
we'd
don't
ask
want
you
it
to
to
try
go
to
for.
respect
yes.
respect the timelines for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
So absolutely. So welcome, Christopher.
Thank you very much.
Floor is yours.
My name is Chris Parkinson. I'm the owner and founder of a company called Canada's Marketplace, recently renamed Community Marketplace. We're a consortium of technology firms that have refocused our software development infrastructures to help local communities be more sustainable. We have been on this path for a great many years, moving up to what has been accelerated with this COVID-19 situation in a digital marketplace. Nobody can deny that the digital space is dominating the world, and we're poised to help BIAs across the province and businesses, local businesses across our country to succeed. So what we've done is we just put together a very, very quick synopsis of some of the softwares that we've been developing over the years in order to bring a level of discovery for people. We don't need to talk about the vast amount of problems that we have, like, economies of scale with advertising online, our inability to recover our economy when we decide to advertise on Facebook or Groupon or anything else, when we're using to skip the dishes, et cetera, et cetera. These are all extractions from our local economy. So, in Oshawa alone, we lose about $1 million a month to skip the dishes. That is economy lost from our communities forever. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook or others are not coming to our communities to come and buy coffee or food or anything else. So as software developers, we try to replicate worldwide institutions and bring them to a local flavor to be sure that our economies are sustainable. And everything that we do is based on analysis, economics, and sound economics. And the proof of everything that we've done has been well vetted for a number of years. Okay, so people may know me. I was on Dragon's Den about 10 years ago. I was there to cover the entire country of free Wi-Fi as a digital border. We foresaw this from being in the technology industry years and years ago. We put forth an opportunity for the Dragons to invest in renting city lampposts, using the power corporations and utilizing power, and similar to the university has, mesh networks for entire cities. You create a digital border to say if you want to advertise to our citizens, it won't be just an extraction, it will be an exchange of duty, as it were. So getting started off, the foundation for any business realistically is the skill sets of their people. So what everybody will be provided one of these. This is called Success with Digital. This is a university degree program that we own. It is licensed and registered with the province's funding for training, and not only for personal training, but also for corporate training. What that means is that any education and any educational type, any educational scenario, as in any one of the modules, is covered by the province's training program by up to 7/8. So that's if you have a $10,000 bill, you would then be recovering $8,500 from that grant program. In that budget is $192 million. We're expecting that to be increased after COVID, and we've just gotten approval to be able to do remote training. Okay, so that's the foundation. Goes everywhere from email marketing to database marketing to standard stuff, your Googles, your things that you would receive in any standard course. The Community Marketplace excels in development, and we have pushed past those standards in order to bring competitive type products that again keep our money local. It's a tragic thing to think that our community is losing $10 million a month to an app that hijacked our local restaurants. It's an awful thing. So following from that, there's obviously the BIA has a membership. What you'll find, their second line item here is called our Community Business Directory. This business directory is an app that allows the businesses in our communities to log on. It comes in both iOS and in Android, Apple and Android. And it's the foundation of the ability for our communities to be able to communicate with many of our local media infrastructure products. So as a user, you can log on, you can create news stories, you can create offers, you can create discounts, you can put in videos, marketing material, all the things that you do on YouTube, whatever else. What it allows us to do, it connects it to all of an individual business's social networks. So very much like a Hootsuite or something, where somebody would log on and would broadcast. This will automatically broadcast to not only your individual channel as your business, so you'd be able to log on to the directory, you'd be able to create a news story, an offer, and it would go off of our directory to your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, and we have over 100 network channels that we apply with. Now, based on the premise of being a small market economy as in Canada, we do look for the opportunity to share our resources. So we manage 72 Facebook pages in Oshawa alone. We have the ability to share those institutions, share those assets across all of those pages at once, okay? So, this is the foundation of it. Following that, we have Community Marketplace Television, which you had seen there. This is a localized IP-based television station. It comes in on apps, it is on the web, and it is location-based, as in closed caption television, and allows us to bring in any IP resource from anywhere on the internet, whether that be YouTube, Facebook, or part of our infrastructure, to be able to send out that across the television network. Now, as Facebook has become more populated, more polluted, our effective outreach has become far less than what we would expect. With 15 of these in the downtown, we're getting over 200,000 views a month. We do know that for a fact based on our Wi-Fi technology, which we'll get into next.
Just a minute left. 1 minute.
Our Wi-Fi technology allows for people to log on and have any systems of gateways. So you can watch an ad, you can share an ad, you can offer your email address, you can offer a chat bot, any of these other things. They're Wi-Fi applicable type marketing strategies for client acquisition and promotion. And essentially what you're doing is you're allowing somebody, if I had 100 people log on in my restaurant and they all have 1,000 friends on Facebook, I shared with 100,000 people today. Okay, that's not even marketing you can buy on Facebook anymore. Moving forward, we have, we've been sharing gift cards. So we have our own local Planet gift card solution, which is a similar to Groupon, but it's really designed for fundraising. And we have fundraising codes and things of that nature in order to allow us to share savings. So we could sell a $100 gift certificate for $75, saving the patron $25, and offer a coupon code to allow for us to raise money for foundations, teams, charities, et cetera, so that we're not selling chocolate bars and other things. We're selling actually into our community the things that are our assets, our local business people, et cetera. Finally, not finally, but we've also built our own local Skip the Dishes. This is an active or a couple of restaurants, and it also allows for our local businesses to advertise across that platform. So be able to recover $1 million in utility from our loss from Skip the Dishes each and every month. We've developed strategies to say, hey, thank you for ordering from ordereats.ca. This community message brought to you by the OPUC. Okay, again, moving our media outreach through new channels, helping recover our lost economy, and create an additional ad stimulus that allows us to be more robust and locally focused.
So does that include the 2-minute extension? Or
It was. You can move for 2 minutes if you like.
Okay. Are you finished? Would you like another 2 minutes?
Sure. I mean, I can elaborate. This is usually a 3-hour presentation, so I can elaborate on anything you'd like to ask.
Okay, so I move we extend by 2 minutes.
So, I mean, to wrap things into a nice little bow.
Hang on a second. Do we not need a second for that?
Okay.
Just to make sure. Okay.
Sure, I'll say.
Okay.
We don't want to overwhelm people with the technology. And often what happens is that, in our business, people just aren't ready, right? 10 years ago, people weren't ready for me to cover the entire country with free Wi-Fi. But we've helped cities like Peterborough and others develop downtown Wi-Fi networks that allow us to acquire assets from our local patrons. This gives us an extension of. One of the things that recently has happened is that we've seen Mr. Kerr do some work with our local music community. We have been doing something similar. We have a very, very strong relationship with the music hall. Music Hall will have a capacity of 1,200 people in the Oshawa downtown. Those 1,200 people we did almost 200 shows last year. Okay, the Oshawa Generals only have 32 home games. So when it comes to economic stimulus, actually it's 20 times greater what the Music Hall performs as in a stimulus for the economics of the downtown. We've tracked that over an entire year. And we're starting to have our community members realize that live performance is the new economy of the BIA. Nobody's coming to downtown Oshawa or any other BIA to do their shopping any longer. So we have to discover what is the driving force between what's driving the foot traffic and what's not. Retail is not driving foot traffic. The Oshawa Generals, if they're playing well, drives a fair amount of traffic, but they are the same people. I'm a season ticket holder, they're the same people. The live music industry, live performance industries, theater, everything else is bringing a wider variety of people, more consistent demographic, and whether the team does well or not, they're still coming. Now, the extended marketing ability of these resources is the benefit of all of the different restaurants and different things in the downtown. Now, you saw a TV station up there earlier when we had it set up in the Music Hall. When the Music Hall places an event on their Facebook, it goes across all our channels and across all the TVs in our downtown community. All the bars love it because when somebody comes down to a show, we don't have a kitchen in the Music Hall, so they got to eat before or after. And what it means is that we are now seeing all of the shows in all the local pubs. In relation, Ed and Maggie Maybe, the owners of the Music Hall, have allowed for all of the restaurants in our downtown to advertise in the Music Hall for free as part of a cooperative relationship. This gives us a significant amount of ad assets to be able to promote, let's say, tenantship in the downtown. We made a proposal to Mr. Kyle Benham to say, if you want to increase your tenants in the downtown, why don't you offer them $100,000 of free advertising on my television network? We offered that to him. We would do the same for anybody else. The reality is that the new economy has to be provided with incentive base. So we send out our printing to Vistaprint. Well, if you go up here where Print 3 has one of our televisions, they'll give you $1,000 in free advertising if you buy business cards. Why? Digital advertising, right? But there's more value to that than Vistaprint. What it allows us to do is recover through incentive a lost economy. So it's becoming, a much more incentive-based ad asset, and that can be utilized to initiate larger, more attractive tenants who may be interested in renting in the downtown. We do have an 11% premium.
Well, I think that's your extended 2 minutes.
Sure. I got in as much as I could.
You did.
Well, that's very
You can
good.
finish your thought.
Yeah.
The human ear can hear 600 words a minute, but we can only speak at 150. So I have no trouble understanding all your words.
Well, you've been privy to much of this information for a very many years.
Not all of it, but there's some new ideas.
Well, they're not new, but they're new to people here.
Yeah. So thanks for your presentation, Chris. I'd like to open it up to members of the committee here to ask any follow-up questions that they have from Chris's presentation. Do you have any questions?
So you had mentioned the app. Is that something that just the BIA partners have to download, or is that something that consumers are expected to download?
No, consumers can download it. So we built a platform that's identical to Facebook so that the operating system is familiar. What it allows you to do is create your own pages, your own fans, whatever else. Very similar to what we had built with Community Music Matters. You can have fans, you can have venues, you can have performers, and have libraries, live streaming, all these other aspects that Spotify offers and whatnot. So our guiding systems are really around familiar operating systems, right? One of the difficult parts that everybody has if you go into a new business is that, the procedures and the policy and all that kind of thing is one thing, but the actual practice of the day-to-day and how you operate is really the largest economic challenge, right? So it makes sense for us to engage people and say, hey, you already understand the system. We're going to simplify it a little bit, and it's going to tie into all these systems for your benefit. Somebody, that is in education for social networking. Very difficult to manage Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all of the different platforms. So we create, integrated systems to say you can utilize all that if you use our system. You can manage all that on your own and add different things. And if I allow you to advertise on my downtown page and everybody else, then you are a member of the community. It's important for everybody to understand that people are the utility now. We're not based in capitalism. We live in a like and share economy. So people are the equity. We have to empower the people. soon as you start dividing people, if I take people off of Facebook, Facebook's not worth anything, right? We have to empower and engage the people in order to be competitive. If we're not, then we're just Facebook with no people on it.
So is the goal though to get the consumers to get the app though? Like is that? Like,
Yeah, so there's
there's
a hand-in-hand type scenario here. So with the Wi-Fi, what we have the ability to do is create a system of rules. So generally what happens is if you want Wi-Fi access in the downtown on one of my Wi-Fi networks, you have to download our app to get access. Okay. Then there's automatic sharings, email marketing, all these different digital assets that allow you to do that. What we don't want to do is we don't want to blow $1 billion in front-end marketing like Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats that have not yet been profitable. What we want to do is use our assets as a community to be effective to, acquire our clients without front-end marketing. Right? We have strategies to do that. Skip the Dishes, for instance, we actually have a flyer that's sponsored that goes into the Skip the Dishes bag. That's delivered to the household, to the dinner table, and it's opened up and it asks them to please switch from Skip the Dishes. It takes 30%, and if you wanted to use Order Eats, that a portion of that is subsidized by advertisers, and a portion of the revenue goes to local feed the need organization type things, right? Again, it's an economics thing, and if you're going to blow your brains out with $1 billion in capital before you're profitable, it's not sustainable. The Skip the Dishes model is not sustainable. They do not have an incumbent relationship with the restaurants. They've hijacked the customer. They did it with front-end advertising. And, any business, if it's not based on sound economics, will fail. And eventually they will fail. As other markets start to pull in and aggregate more assets like advertising and incentives, and even the notion that they're taking $1 million out of Osher every month is disgusting, right? But the restaurants have to do what they need to do to survive, right? So.
Very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, so how successful is your food app?
So what we do is we're software developers, okay? So we look for relationships to deploy it. Our success is not necessarily based on go-to-market strategies as of yet. As I discussed earlier, our Keep It Local digital mastery program, we were scheduled to hire over 100 representatives this year in Ontario alone, obviously subsidized by the grant program from the province. And COVID put a big problem on that. Skip the Dishes, not Skip the Dishes, Order Eats is active with a restaurant or two, but we do not blow it out into the market because quality of service and the other aggregate assets, as in advertisements, brochures, whatever else, is all part of the community initiative. So we have our Skip the Dishes worked out into postal codes, wards, let's say. So, I know that when I'm marketing to this individual, that if that business is conducive to pulling somebody from Belleville, then the advertising from the music hall may be advertising in Belleville. But that's based on statistics. It's not based on throwing stuff against the wall and hoping that it sticks. The big problem that most technology businesses have is that they don't take a long enough time to vet what is being done. And that's part of what this conversation is that what are your objectives? What do you want to achieve? One of the big problems in business is that they download the software, but it's not been designed for their process. We're here to discuss your process. What are you trying to achieve? What are your most, significant goals? Are they in line with your long-term objectives? Are you looking to invest money on a Facebook ad for $6,000 and have that money never return to your community? Are you willing to spend the $6,000 in a television network that will offer you ongoing advertising in perpetuity plus advertising for your community as it continues to grow its viewership and Facebook and other platforms deteriorate in their viewership? Right? So an analysis and replicating what the community or the user or the business wants to do is paramount. Developing the software is really just a representation of how effective a business can be in communicating what their process is. Right? We consider this to be AI, which is artificial intelligence, where we improve the process from a 10-step process down to one. And that's very much what our local television station does.
So what's the cost to the BIA? In general, how is this monetized? How is the BIA? I can see how the BIA might benefit. Maybe you'd like to be specific.
Well, again, I mean, the first thing for any astute business person is to stop the bleeding. If you came into a business and you said, hey, you're losing $1 million a month, you know, we wouldn't be talking about revenue strategies or other, you know, additional profit centers. You'd be talking about how do we first save the $1 million that we're leaking out of our boat every single month, you know, and then as you look to what's the value proposition of these assets, part of it is your relationship with the rest of the community. Are they willing to have a TV or a Wi-Fi? Maybe the city, when the city transfers some money here, then you go to advertise, it goes back to a city network, right? You know, the scenarios of the software development are endless with regards to monetization, but there's no monetization if there's no money in our community. So stop the bleeding first.
Mm-hmm. So there's no cost to the BIA per se.
We're not proposing a cost here today. We've yet to even do an analysis of what it is that your scope of the project is. We don't have any clue what it is that we would or would not charge because the BIA has yet to decide what it is that they're trying to achieve in their mandate. You know, are you looking for a new website? Are you looking for an app driven? Are you looking to help the bottom line for all of your members? You know, one of the things that we've been very successful at, and I'm very proud of, is that we've recently become our own PayPal. So last month we were approved to become our own aggregate merchant services company. So generally every merchant in our community would be at the 3.5% to 4% mark. We can offer that at less than 2%. That's an immediate savings for every single transaction for the people in our community. That is stopping the bleeding. That is pushing forward opportunities, you know, as a firm that is addressing the issues that may not be in the forefront of individuals or business that are not eyeball deep in the technology. Right? So once you clearly define what it is your objectives are, and I went through that BIA document that you sent me, and that's pretty vague in its structure, right? There's been a massive shift due to COVID, and really what it's done is brought the rest of the community up to speed with, you know what, we live in a digital community, right? In the downtown alone, the best asset that we put into Order Eats as an app is the ability to order food and walk in and book a table. Because what happens is that the majority of the commerce in the downtown for the restaurants is daytime business. You have a 40-minute lunch. You know, Ivana was a 40-minute lunch. Every nurse is a 40-minute lunch. Every lawyer is a 40-minute lunch. And if you watch your community, you're seeing people look in the windows to see, are they busy? Are they busy? Are they busy? Are they busy? And what we've done is we've put together a map of each restaurant where you can book a seat or pick up your food or have it delivered so that you're conscious of the COVID and the social distancing, so that if an order is placed and you want to book a table, you can do that right on the app.
So that's working well now for you?
Well, yeah, again, it's a software development strategy, and we're having conversations similar to this with many institutions, the province, the BIAs, different regions and whatnot, that have been a little bit more receptive in moving this type of technology forward.
Okay, so
now again, our staffing initiative, was to hire 100 employees to come through our own course. That was put on hold because the province would not provide approval for in-classroom testing.
Sure.
Right. So, you know, things like everything else was put on
hold. Can you not
hold.
do that online?
We did get approval, as I mentioned before, that the province is going to allow us to do an online training. We're about 45 to 60 days out from having that online.
Yeah, because the colleges and universities are all doing it. My daughter teaches it, so it's all
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. And,
Okay,
you
so
know,
my other question, because I know there's another several agenda items, but my interest has been for a while to market the downtown as a ACE hub, art, cultural, entertainment hub.
Yeah.
All the retail may come along afterward as we get more permanent feet on the street, but also we need to draw people in from elsewhere as well, which is things like the music hall can do, the upcoming Biltmore, the Mansfield's Cabaret, the Adrian, and so forth. So my question is, I've been trying to get this, you know, Facebook link to the BIA calendar page going for a while. There's been some challenges. What I'm hearing from you is there's a way that you can do that.
We've already done that, where if you were to create an event on the BIA's Facebook page, it would automatically update the calendar on your calendar page, okay? So it'll go from Facebook to your website, off of your website onto Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and onto our television network. You'll also be able to create tickets and buy seats off of that, and that can be shared amongst all of the community marketplace vendors that we have a relationship with their Facebook pages. So the music hall, for instance, we had set it up for them initially as an investment, a development investment, where a musician can go and create an event and sell their own tickets. Have their own live stream, have their own e-commerce store right off of communitymusicmatters.com. And buy seats, choose a seat. So if you're going to the region, I can log online, I can book a show, and as a user, I can log online, buy a ticket, and book a seat. That's the same Fire-based software application allows us to do the seating and all of the remote requirements for all of the, whether it be a live entertainment venue and or a food venue. All of those maps are self-created by each institution, whether it be the restaurant or the music hall.
So you would probably smile at the number of people that told me that couldn't be done.
Well, I mean, listen, there's a lot of people that think that things can't be done, but there's not a thing in the world that can't be done with enough effort and enough expertise, right? Everything that we have done in our lifetimes at one time could not be done, right? It's a matter of if you're going to keep moving in one direction, you set your mind to get there, and if you decide that you're going to quit, then you're just a quitter. We've been doing this for a decade, right? This is not the first meeting I've been here at the BIA, right? But it's always a matter of when you're leading the race and having the rest of the people have to accept it, it's a symbiotic relationship. Very, very few people understand that Facebook is made up of the people. It's just the operating system that keeps the fabric of our communications together. People are the equity. For the first time in human history, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat are playing at an equal level. Capitalism is dead. Like and share economy was proven by the ALS bucket challenge. They raised $55 million and didn't have to spend $1 because they had a narrative, they had a story. And that was passed between my digital assets or my investment in the modern day newspaper, the same as yours. Everybody has a cell phone. We're an equity shareholder in the modern day media.
Okay, that's my question. Thanks.
I have two quick ones.
So,
So would the businesses be expected to create their own ads for their ad spaces? Or is that a service that you provide?
we provide that service. We do have an app that's been developed to help create videos and video content that has subheadings and whatnot that ties directly into our website and then obviously goes out across the television network. One of the things that people have asked quite often is that, you know, one restaurant doesn't want another restaurant's advertising in their scenario, right? And I say to them, well, why do you care? Boston Pizza's up on the CP24 and they're not helping you at all. But we do have the ability to categorize each television into its own specific content via category for the advertisers as well as the content. So when we had at the Oshawa Golf Club, they wanted all of the golf news and, you know, some of the data. So, you know, if you consider each one of these television stations to be an independent web page, whatever it is that you like is your interest in our module, we'll create your television station. So on your app, rather than going to 30 Facebook pages, you'll watch a 40-minute loop of all of the news that came on those Facebook pages. Right?
Okay. That sort of answers my second. You have a lot going on, that's all. I mean, and none of it's actually new, right?
No, yeah, that's right.
So everything you have going on, the Order Eats, the education program, BACD, does that, right? The digital TV, that's been done. Everything is kind of piggybacking, my opinion, off of something else that's already there. So what would be your benefit to the target market? Would it be, I guess, the ability to pick and choose kind of what you're interested in?
No, so a lot of people say, okay, we have a lot going on. It's all technology, right? So my ability to place an ad on a website, but also we're aggregators. So it goes on a website, goes on all your social networks, goes on the TV, goes on to the television app on your phone, goes on to Order Eats for food delivery, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So the value proposition in technology is to create things that are more efficient and less costly and more effective. What's happened in our community, and, you know, unfortunately we've accepted, is that Skip the Dishes and Uber hijacked customers for a loss.
Now, just with that point, I actually did not order takeout for like 5 years. I'm so close to downtown. It seemed ridiculous for me to order takeout. With all the COVID, I think I used personally Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes more to be able to experience restaurants maybe outside of my physical location, not being able to take the bus, not being able to go to these places physically. I've been using Uber Eats more or Skip the Dishes more. So yes, we are losing it just based on their fees. However, there is a huge target that has been using those kind of things more so than they normally would have with everything being closed or
Yeah, and I mean,
safety concerns.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we had been providing to our customers long before, like just marketing techniques that, you know, drive revenue for restaurants based on advertising, right? So, you know, we built the app, you know, during the COVID because we knew it was something that was already on something we were developing. But I'll give you a good example. So we have the TV up in, let's say, La Quinta, the music hall, wherever else. So what we end up doing is we end up allowing, you know, an organization to advertise on those televisions for a set amount. We reward them with gift cards that come from that restaurateur. In doing so, those restaurant gift cards can be utilized by the business to go and order food or not order food or go in and get food. But more importantly, we have the opportunity to utilize those gift cards through Planet Gift Cards website to do social promotions. So rather than paying Facebook for exposure, that is really on a very steep incline for cost and very much a decline. We know that social engagement with reward and contest incentives are far more effective. We've been doing that for a number of years. We've actually developed a software to allow us to share a gift card across multiple sites and have that gift card be unique to each individual restaurant or Facebook page. So it'd say, hey, the BIA is promoting like and share this event. And if you like and share and do whatever the requirements are, you'll be sent a gift card for the restaurant, which is page that you have seen the BIA's event on. So, you know, they're not new concepts, right? But when most people are moving into the software world, they're looking for global market, and everything that happens in a global market has a subset of, it doesn't work for Canadians anymore because we are suffering from economies of scale. I cannot compete with Walmart, Torstar, you know, any of the huge Procter & Gamble. We live in an auction scenario when it comes to those global factions, and that opens up the opportunity for other new localized media venues that become more valuable, more powerful, and less costly because of the globalization of those worldwide platforms.
I'm going to interject here because I want to give, this is great discussion. I want to give those that are online the opportunity to ask questions because I know they're not sitting here at the table. It might be harder for them to, you know, raise their hand, so to speak. So anyone online have any questions for Chris right now? Okay, I'm hearing none right now. Do you have any final questions around the table before we wrap up discussion or wrap up the questions here?
I'm good.
You're good? You're good?
I'm just curious what other BIAs have implemented all this technology.
We haven't, so this is like taking a liter of information and pouring it into a shot glass of acceptance, right? So, you know, we've had some discussions with the province over the COVID situation. We've had meetings with Terry Gile from Peterborough and whatnot, but only on usually a subset of things, right? And oftentimes people ask, in the BIA, Terry Gile actually asked, he says, you know, what do you need the BIA for? I said, I don't need the BIA. I said, BIA is a resource that's a community that should be supported through technology. We'd like the opportunity to work with all the BIAs, but we don't need them, right? I can go to a restaurant, put that up and say, I'll have my representative run around all the local businesses and offer them free advertising. How does it work? Well, you buy a $100 ad and I'll give you 4 $25 gift cards. Great. What did it solve? Well, for the restaurateur, he was giving away a 2-for-1 gift card anyways and paying the newspaper $1,000 to do it. If he got 10 of them, he was happy. I walk in there and say, if you let us put up a TV here and you agree to our terms and conditions, I'll buy $5,000 worth of gift cards from you here today. And now my people are responsible for going to sell them, right? So, you know, the obvious relationship with the BIA is to work cooperatively together and use the technology to increase your mandates and help service our community. But our community is not just the BIA. You know, part of what Mr. Kerr is alluding to is how do we get people to downtown? Well, I could say I go to local businesses that are not in the downtown and I say, would you like free advertising? Great, how does it work? Well, if you give me $100, I'll give you 4 gift cards, $25 a piece, and you have to use them this month to buy from the businesses downtown. And if you don't, you lose the free advertising. Nobody misses. It's value, it's value, it's an value, it's an incentive value, right? It's creating an additional value, and it's a digital transition strategy, right? I mean, everything that we're doing is not new. The newspaper is not new, right? This is just a digital newspaper, as it were, right? So, you know, there's a lot of things that we have done through the decade that we've been working on this to find out what works, what doesn't work. For example, ourplanetgiftcards.org. It was originally called Get Coupon Savings. But when I gave you a gift card, you didn't really like the idea of coupons, right? So we changed that to Planet Gift Cards, and that lends itself well to our Wi-Fi campaign, which is projecttreewifi.com, where every time somebody watches an ad or buys a Planet gift card, we donate to planting a tree, right? So, you know, some corporate social engagement for all of this. And again, we are structuring and restructuring constantly based on the input that we get from people like yourself or Councillor Kerr or BIAs. And, you know, we had a rollout strategy this year and it got interrupted, but we took some time to reanalyze. We broke some things up, rebuilt some things, created a few more apps and whatnot. But we're not worried about the deployment. Okay, the technology wins the race. If it didn't, Consumers Distributing would still be here, Sears would still be here, but they're not, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the longer you wait to accept the technology, the worse off you're going to be.
I'm going to interject there, Chris. I want to thank you for your presentation.
Sure.
I think we're up against the wall of time here due to some time constraints with some of the other items on the agenda. So thanks for coming and presenting here this morning. I think it was valuable and it's good to hear some of your ideas. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So
just give me a minute to pack up. I've got a few
no
last sets and things to.
Are we good to continue to move things along, or do we typically wait, Angela?
No, we can start moving things on.
Okay, sounds good. So as Chris unpacks here, item number 6 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. So can I get a mover on the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting? And I'm guessing that a lot of people probably were not at last meeting either. People in attendance here today.
Amber was.
Amber was.
Yeah.
I was not. I did not receive the
right,
links
that
for
one
the
yet.
last few months, so I will abstain from voting on that.
No one in this room was at last meeting either.
We can just hold them till next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
okay.
I did get a message from Cindy.
Okay.
And can't be there.
These are all the white papers for all the software, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, if you could leave that, that'd be great.
Well, actually, we'll send it digitally so that it can be done with the environment in mind.
Okay.
I can,
You'll send me a digital. Okay.
yeah, I'll send it to the whole committee because he gave it to me this morning.
Great.
And then
Okay.
it's
So
till
we'll
next
table item number 6 to be approved at the next meeting in October. Right. Okay. So moving on then to item number 7, acceptance of new committee members.
And there is
And
none.
there is. Yeah, so formally they were invited to join us here today, but there's no further new members that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Angela?
Yeah.
So very good. So then moving on to item number 8, social media, COVID activities.
Acceptance, does that mean we need a vote?
I think
No,
that
because we already accepted the 2 new ones here, the applications. There aren't any new
So
applications.
it's nice to feel accepted.
I was gonna say.
we're sending you big.
Thank you for
And
accepting
twice
on the
us.
other end of the
Twice.
table.
Even twice now.
Yeah.
Digital hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, okay, item number 8, I'm going to turn that over to both Angela and Taylor, I believe, to provide us an update on social media.
Okay, so I will let Taylor take that on. Just as a forewarning, her internet is a bit unstable. So if we lose her, then I will take over.
Sounds
Yes.
good.
I'm here for now, so hopefully it stays that way. There's not too much going on that's different or at least updated on the social media front. We do have 2 new campaigns that are starting to ramp up. We've got a promotional campaign for the Hot Topics town hall or virtual town halls that are going to be starting. The first one is on the 17th. And as of yesterday, we actually already had 17 people registered, so that's great. It's one of Cindy's community development initiatives. So we're kind of, partnering on that to promote it and get it out there. And the second campaign is, of course, for the AGM, letting people know when it is, because the date's been picked now, sending out all of the formal invitations, the Facebook event, setting that kind of stuff up. So that will have a social media aspect to it. But those are the big highlights and updates for now. Other than that, we're still kind of plugging on with our takeout campaign and our volunteer highlights and different things like that.
I'm going to interject now because there are the other sort of campaigns that we're doing that are more related to TikTok and then Instagram. Did you want to talk about that?
Sorry, you cut it for a second. Was that the videos?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say that there's too big of an update from there. I guess we'll just let the new members know what that is and what's going on. So we're starting to film, and we've actually filmed a few pieces already for different TikTok and Instagram video ideas. So we had a chicken strip taste testing video that is scheduled to go up on Instagram in the next few weeks. It's already up on TikTok. We've also got a donut and muffin taste testing, so like a baked goods video that's been filmed. And then we've got a few other ideas for the tattoo shops, the comic shops. We're really just trying to include all of the different types of businesses in the downtown and feature them in a video format.
Yeah, so some of the ones that we're having more of a difficulty of trying to figure out how to do a video for are like, you know, like Compass Wealth or the banks, the lawyers and stuff. So we've got one that we're going to be doing for like the massage places, which is like hand massage, where we get one volunteer and they get a hand massage from each of them. You know, so things like that. It's easier to do the ones for food and things like that, but we're trying to figure out how to also be inclusive with, you know, some of our other members that are not as vocal. So any ideas? You know, and it might be just approaching them and seeing if they would like to do a social media takeover for the day or something, right? But again, it's just any ideas, send them to Taylor or myself, and then we'll see what we can do with them.
I have a quick idea. I just thought that maybe we could do, for example, like Isaac's Compass Wealth or my place, the Holiday Inn. We could do like a tour of the building or something like that to show what's inside.
Yeah, I love that idea, actually, Amber. As soon as you said I have an idea, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be like a hotel tour, and we can compare, you know, the different types of rooms. We could show maybe like a junior suite versus, I'm not sure exactly what kind of rooms you guys have, but feature the different types of rooms and the different types of spaces and what you can get there.
Absolutely. We have a great views of downtown Oshawa from our 6th floor as well. So
awesome. Okay, well, after this, maybe we can talk about setting something up in the next few weeks and get some stuff filmed then.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Awesome. So I think that covers off the TikTok video concept. Is there anything else to add, or are we good on number 8, guys?
I think we're good.
The Troubadour series, I don't know that I've seen anything yet on that. Is that part of this kind of thing, or how do we?
Yeah, it's been promoted on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter last week. We haven't done anything yet for this week's ramp up because we don't know, we haven't been given the list of the performers.
That's coming today, if not already here. It was finalized yesterday. So I'll make sure you get that as early as possible today so it can go up today.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah.
So you're the point person with some of those.
There's Jeff Davis and myself.
Okay.
And then there's Adam Kuntz, who does the scheduling of the
performers.
I was gonna say magicians. No, that really would be a street busker. No, musicians.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 18 performers on the list, and in fact, I just was able to convince the lead from Mamma Mia and We Will Rock You to come forward with a singing presentation. That might be great for Avantis, you know.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to now expand the genres that we can offer.
That's right. And then maybe the idea would be to rotate through those. You've got your list of musicians and.
Yeah. So for instance, my son John, who's actually, I could send you a video. He's a really talented musician, singer. He played the first week, didn't play last week. He'll play this week, and I think 2 weeks after that. So we try to give everybody a fair shot, but we're also trying to focus the talent and audience connection, and so build the stable, but also put the more thoroughbreds in the stable too. So we have a pretty strong stable.
Yeah, that's good.
And so with our different platforms, I always go. I'm old school. I always go to the web, and I notice our website is very dated. Events are old, and you know they're still the old events, but there's no date next to them. We promote music, and this to me is music. So I would like to see whatever we're doing somehow replacing what's the music button on the website, because I don't do the other stuff. And so this is the only way I do it, is through the website.
And do the businesses where the people are actually performing promoted as well? Because I
We're
haven't
asking them to, yeah, and they're
seen
starting to
that.
share, and the musicians themselves. So we've created a Troubadour Facebook page, and that's starting to be shared, and there's a lot of musicians that are coming in. There's a sign-up process, so that's posted. So that things are developing. It's like anything, you know, like a shirt you pull out of the laundry, it's fresh, but you have to do some ironing, right? So that's what we're doing.
So again, if we somehow pivot over to the website, that's our main approach. What I find is these other medias are getting hit, which is great, but it's not somehow finding its way to the traditional stuff.
Website costs money to update.
Well, I
Social
was
media
gonna,
is
I
free.
was gonna.
Just gonna add
Is it?
that.
I didn't know that. Is
Well,
that?
Well, I'm not sure if Taylor has the capability of changing that.
Fair, yeah.
If Taylor does have the capability of adding that, we can definitely get that up there.
Yeah, I was kind of going to use that as a segue into number 9 because that is a website update on the agenda. So I don't have the ability to update the homepage, Ivano, which is why all of the old events are up but without dates, because those are events that we are hoping to have in 2021. So you'll notice that it either has a TBD or, you know, the month or just 2021 underneath it. That's something that we have to go to our developer for. But if you go to our events calendar, that is absolutely updated with every single Troubadour night until the middle of October. And as that goes on, we can update, you know, who the performers are going to be on there, or if locations change, that kind of thing. I have full access to that calendar.
Can we not pivot to another page and just call it, you know, make it the Troubadour event? I get your homepage is not.
We might not be able to create pages either.
Yeah, we don't have the ability. It would be more like a blog, and that's one page. Wouldn't have the ability to really format it super nicely. That's something we'd have to pay the developer for.
Yeah.
So is there a way to put a note like that saying, you know, this page will be updated under our phase 2 approach, but go visit Facebook and TikTok and these other things that are free that we
Taylor,
somehow pivoting over to that at least gets you to the latest and greatest that you have.
we'll talk about this afterwards, but to get Miles to do something on the front page, but from our events calendar, can we not put a link in there to the Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. But
With things
our
we're not in it?
traffic, looking at our analytics, it's actually the opposite. A lot of our traffic is coming directly from Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So I understand what you're saying, Ivano, but the numbers are pointing in the opposite direction, and that those kinds of things are driving people to the website.
we do need
the 2
to-
clicks that you get on the webpage. That's
Yeah, but we do need to take in consideration there are people that go the opposite way. So
Oh, absolutely.
so let's do that, and then you and I will discuss offline about seeing what we can do with Miles for the front page.
Sounds good.
And so on the note, I do remember you guys saying about phase 2 and there's more capabilities coming. You know, I think we got to tell our members, or we got to put a note on there saying, you know, this is phase 1 or some element for people who would go there normally. Like, we're on the inside of this discussion, and so we get it. But I can't help but think we have 400 members who might go to the website once every blue moon and not everywhere else.
Yeah, there is some
We should explain
impatience out there.
We should
about the
explain it
website.
to say, you know, this isn't the place to get the updates. Hit these links to get our latest updates. More will come on the webpage in January or February.
So you are hearing things about the website?
Yeah, and people saying, why is it taking so long? So
Yeah.
that, and again, that's because maybe they're not up to speed with what we've had to do to get there. But again, that's a communication issue, but there is some frustration, you know, like.
Yeah.
Is that the common thing you're hearing? Why is it taking so long?
Not from
Or-
everybody, but
Okay.
from enough sources and business people that they just not understanding why the web page is taking so long to get up and fully
Okay.
functional.
Okay.
Okay, Rick, if you hear that from people, please forward
Let us
me
know
their
that.
comments or get them to contact us, because I'd love to know, you know, what updates they're expecting. It might not be
I know.
something that's in our abilities at the moment, or it might not be something that we've considered for phase 2. So please forward any of that feedback.
Yep, I will do.
Okay, so I'll get that from Rick, Taylor.
Okay.
Okay, so we're already sort of in the website portion. So
Yeah, so do you want to continue to add on, Taylor, on number 9, but on the website update? Do you have other things to add?
There was one thing that Cindy brought up. We had been approached about potentially putting updates from WSI on the website.
So
It's been
Carol,
determined.
I just stop you there for a sec, just because we have new members in here and they may not know what WSI is. So that's the Welcoming Streets Initiative. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So after a few lengthy conversations, we've determined that right now, especially under phase 1, it's not beneficial to put those kind of updates on the website. Potentially in phase 2, when we have a secure members page, so members would be given a login and that information would all be private to those people who have the login information, it could be beneficial to include then. But at the moment, we don't really have the capability to add a page, especially one that can be updated quite frequently. And we don't fully think that it would be beneficial to the general public who visits our website. A lot of our members go on our members page specifically or get email updates from us. So we feel that that kind of information might be better to be shared in our e-bulletins every month.
Okay, can you maybe elaborate on the type of content that was promoted as maybe being beneficial to be added to the website?
So the discussion was around adding information, more numbers, I guess, kind of stats on what has been going on for that month or that quarter, because our members have been asking for more information to see, what the program is doing, if it's beneficial, what exactly they are doing. So those were the numbers and the kinds of information that we were looking at posting.
So could I jump in there, Taylor? It's Kim.
Absolutely.
And hi, Ivano and Councillor Kerr. I think you walked in after I introduced myself, so nice to hear you. So where Welcoming Streets is concerned from Carria's perspective, the feedback that the outreach team has been receiving from the business owners and members is exactly what you're saying, is, what kind of activity is happening, what's going on, and where can I find the information. And that's, it was a conversation that we had with the BIA a number of months ago in terms of hoping to have current information on the site in addition to some good news stories or some positive outcomes that have been as a result of the WSI team's services, and potentially some success stories, like I said. So I'm wondering if it's not possible to keep updated information on the BIA website right now, is it possible to put a link to Carria's website and then we can post the information on our site and members can just click?
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure something out. I'd have to talk to our developer because he would most likely have to add that link to one of our pre-existing pages that I don't have back-end access to.
Okay.
But it's something that we can definitely look at. And as far as good news stories and that kind of thing, we do have a blog section on our website that I have access to. So we can 100% post those kinds of story type articles on there.
Okay, that would be good. And I'm also wondering too, when you were speaking earlier about posting the videos on TikTok or whatnot, maybe there's an opportunity to video or record or whatever the team while they're out working or getting some quotes from them or something like that can be posted on TikTok, just showing kind of that synergy and the partnership.
Absolutely. We can definitely explore some ideas and see what we can come up with for that.
Okay, great.
One comment, could we, because we have access to the blog section, could we not craft in the short term kind of like a good news story about how Welcoming Streets is, just some of the work that so is that under?
You're going to write that?
There you go. I've been voluntold to potentially be the content writer of that blog post, but yeah, that would be an easy way for us to in the short probably get something posted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and they get a link shared right then and there, right?
Yeah, I reckon from a city's point of view, a good news story like that would be extremely welcome right now.
Yeah.
Have a lot of things going on with Memorial Park and washrooms downtown and all that kind of stuff. So a good news story would be very welcome.
Okay, so let's try to get that up within the next 2 weeks if possible.
Is
Yeah.
that
Our biggest struggle right now
to help support somebody with either staff or a member? Like, I'd be happy to work with somebody to get something put together. I really would. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
That's good, because I was going to say our biggest weakness right now is we just lost our 2 summer students. So it is just Angela and I, plus a
Events intern.
yeah, intern. So if somebody else is willing to write it or send me kind of like a very detailed list of numbers and points, so then I can sit down and write it. But that's definitely our biggest weakness right now.
Take the work off of your plate. Surely you have the access to the numbers. If you just send the numbers, either Isaac or myself even could write something like that and put it together, and we'd be happy to, because you don't need content
exactly.
writing added to what you're already doing.
Okay, we'll pass that along to you guys.
Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's good.
Thank you.
Yep. Awesome. Anything else to add on number 9, Taylor?
I think that was it.
No, I have one more.
Okay, Angela.
Actually, sorry. Can I just quickly, on the point of the blogs, where are we at? Because I know that you were attempting to get stuff all the way done up until the end of the year. Where are we at? Any developments? Or?
We've got a huge, I don't want to say backlog, but we've got a huge library full of different articles. So
Music to my ears. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe our goal was to have up to the end of January.
Yeah.
Prepared in advance. So that
I think we have something like 30 blogs sitting in our inventory and able to post whenever. So it's just kind of trying to figure out, times that make sense and work together. Like last week, we posted a article about 7 great patios to check out in the downtown, and we tied that into also seeing the troubadours, because some of those patios that were mentioned in that article are ones that are featuring the Troubadour series.
Awesome. That's great. And I know how important some of that content will be for even search engine optimization and stuff like that. So that's it's fantastic, or part of, partially important, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry that I interjected there.
That's fine. So the other thing was that we've had a request to have, and under the member section for the financials, right now we have our monthly financial statements going back from June 2019 forward, once they're accepted at the board level. But we've had a request to have all of 2019. So I guess I'm asking this group what we want to put up there. Do we want all of 2019? Do we want 2018, 2019? I'm looking for opinions here.
There's an FOI in on financials right now from a BIA member.
Yep.
So I don't think we can post something until the city has done their forensic audit, which is supposed to have been done September 1st. So that's on 219, right?
Well, no, these were already posted,
Okay.
and we're being told to post them.
Okay, so in that case, it's not an issue. I
Yeah,
just
so
know
it's
there was-
just
there
in
was an
terms of,
FOI
I guess,
from finance.
space or how much, because Taylor has done a great job of helping fix this up, but our meetings and agenda section was looking really cluttered and horrible. I just don't want everything to get all cluttered. Now we do have it when you hit financials, it says the monthly financials for 219 or whatever. But I guess we're just looking to see how far back. Do we want all of 219? Do we want all of 218?
I guess there's two elements I would be looking at. Number one would be capacity. So I don't know what kind of capacity issues we have with hosting, large amounts of data. So that would be the first element that I would be curious about. The second element would be, I'd be curious what the board would say in terms of.
And we can take it to the board.
Yeah,
right?
that's. I think myself, I took
or the finance committee.
Well,
right?
Come on, you know what? I think you're well within your rights. Come up with a recommendation.
Yeah.
Because I don't. reports bust either way. So
Yeah.
this is of how much data and transparency do you want to provide? I think
That's
that's the issue.
Yeah.
Whatever you come up with, I think is fine.
Yeah.
I look at it from finance and audit. Everything's been approved, audited,
Yeah.
whatever. It's not a big deal.
That's right.
Most board members are asked the question, do we look better with increased transparency by putting everything up there, or, okay?
I would think.
I think so, but then the other risk is there anything in our history that we have in the closet that's gonna have, hang us or what? I have no idea.
So I guess my question is like, it's not, Taylor, as soon as I get Taylor the information, she can upload it. But it's, how many years do we want to go back? Do we just want to do a couple of years?
Well, let me flip the question. You're the longest standing member here.
Yes.
So, I mean, in our history, besides last year where we pushed the budget envelope, has there been anything in the past that we had to be any concerned about? I haven't been
No.
here that long, so I'd hate to open a door from 1999 when there was a problem.
I don't have that information from 1990.
Well, whatever.
But
I mean,
yeah.
how far back do you want to go is a function of, what.
Yeah, like I would say,
Generally, people go-
2017 maybe.
Generally, people go 5 years.
We
Like people do
have-
sliding 5-year budgets or sliding.
We have
5-year
audited
views.
statements back
Yeah.
from 2012 already on here.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I
Like,
mean,
and that's why I'm kind of wondering, do we need to then have all of the old monthly financials? Because we do have the audited financials.
Well, what if we maybe so we have all of the audited financial statements. So what if we did maybe 2 years worth of monthly financial statements, and then we can replace those as time goes on with just the audited yearly financial statements?
So when the audited financial statements come, I'll retire the monthly statements for that year.
Yeah. And then if people want them, we can put a note in there that says, you can request them, yada, yada, yada. But then they don't need to all be on the website.
So if everyone's good with that,
I think
then
that's fair.
okay.
But I'd like to make that recommendation up to the board if we could, if everyone agreed. Everyone online, yeah.
Considering the past sensitivity of this issue, I think it's probably best to get board decision.
Yeah.
It's, I'm just writing this down.
So that's the website update?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, where are we now?
We are at number 10, moving along. Angela, you're good if we move along?
Oh, yep.
Number 10, communications planning. I know you said Cindy is not online, correct?
No, she is not. I did get a text from her and she
Okay.
had an emergency that she needed
Okay,
to take
so
care of.
Do you want to touch on that, Angela?
I don't know. We have lots of different communications things that are happening, right?
Yes.
And Taylor alluded to a couple of them already. The AGM.
Yeah.
So the notification for that, we're working on that.
So maybe the big one,
Yeah.
we have this timeline that you've developed and we.
Do you want me to go grab it?
No, it's
Okay.
okay, but my big concern for communications is budget.
Yeah.
Like we're heading into next year's budget. I like the fact we're planning ahead. I think we're right on in terms of timing for discussion. We have a first draft prepared that I don't know is going to be a good news story, depending on what we think our audience wants to hear. It's still going to be a polarizing issue, I think. It's more than the previous year. It's a levy issue. And so we need to get out in front with communication and feedback. It is about engaging the entire membership. We're going to hear for the anti-taxers. They're very loud and they don't want any increase whatsoever, but that's not the entire membership. So I don't know what that communication plan looks like, but I am concerned about that we've been talking about it. We're on a timeline. What format do we take? Emails, website, probably not website, TikTok, probably not TikTok, but town hall, I don't know, or
So
open meetings.
I have a question on timing then.
Sure.
How soon can the public BIA members weigh in on budget process? Do they have any opportunity to do that? And if so, what impact might that have?
Between now and the end of what we're looking to do is submit it to the city for 21st of October.
No, it has to go before that, 14th of October, because it needs to go to
14th.
finance.
Yeah, okay, fine. 14th of October, and we got pretty much a month.
Okay.
We can start doing that anytime now. And we haven't finalized our budget. We have a draft. We can speak to it. it's contemplated on what do people want out of the BIA for 2021. So what's driving usually the agenda item of what people want to pay. And, you know, paying is a function of what you get for it. And, and that's where the misalignment is. And I think communication has to deal with that. Here's where we stand. Here's what you get for it. And this is what it means to your levy. Because it's those three issues: budget, what do you get for it, value, and what does that mean in terms of levy? Like, what do people pay?
I think really communicating what the BIA does and what the BIA can do for your business is going to be key. I mean, I'm kind of outside looking in at all of this, so like I don't know what the BIA does as a regular person, right? What are you guys doing to help me?
Our budget's broken into 4 areas: administration, which keeps all the membership requests and the communication and issues that pop up taken care of. We do promotion, which is basically marketing and campaigning towards whatever people are running and whatever we sponsor in terms of helping to market and get information out to membership. Events, which is basically things we run or participate in or co-sponsor. So we bring events, and there's about 8 or 10 of them that we have planned for next year. And last but not least is beautification. So then we do a bunch of work around cleaning up the downtown, presenting an image, dealing with the imagery of the downtown, and that. Those are basically the 4 areas that we sponsor.
And I think those need to really be highlighted for the general public and for BIA members, because I don't think all of them know all of those things, right?
And we are working on that.
And I think
but
communicating that will
perfect.
be big before anything else.
So we'll do the PowerPoint, we'll do those pieces. How do we get it to everybody? In what format should that look like? Is it like an email blast, or is it a website update?
Social media. Hey, look, here's us planting planters. Here's us at a local hub.
And yet
Here's
when
us.
we get pushback from some of the older BIA members, whatever, a lot of them don't operate with a computer very often. Some of them don't operate with cell phones. Some of them aren't on social media.
But
some of them insist on written communication. So you're absolutely correct in terms of speed, cost, and expeditiousness. Social media is absolutely the way to go. It's just that we have a mixed bag when it comes to who we have in the BIA.
We have a month. So these are all great conversations. We really need to sort of pull together a tight plan to cover all this space. Like, I agree with you.
May I just add a question as well? So did all the surveys come back? Have we been able to pull out the data from the BIA surveys?
Yes. And there's a lot that we've addressed in the budget from the surveys.
Okay.
So it's been factored in, Amber,
Thank
right?
you.
That's been factored in, Amber. So we pulled the data from different sources. We did a bottom up. Maybe we need to explain the process too. We've done a bottom up. We've collected membership data. We've looked at our history. We've looked at the situation we face: COVID, second wave, possibly into next year, recovery, where we're at now in that process. So that's all factored into this first draft.
And in the AGM notice package, we're going to include, we have a summary of some of the key results and information. So we're going to package that together with the budget so people can look at the surveys and the results that we got and then link it to the numbers and kind of understand why things are the way they are.
Yeah, well, that's an AGM thing, and that's probably too late because we'll have a budget that we're going to present out. And I don't want that to be the first time somebody sees it. So I really want to back up
this will be going out as a notice, so that's a minimum of 2 weeks before.
No, I know.
But yeah,
we're going to nail the budget down. It's not going to be up for discussion. It's going to be, this is what it is.
See, that's what happened last year, and I've had some complaints from people that it was a fait accompli and they didn't have input on it. So I just would like to encourage an opportunity for BIA members to have some kind of input before we come back and say, there it is.
So we're at draft now.
So in our current timeline that we did with Ivano, we have about a week, if not a few days more than a week, where we're going to send out like the first draft budget. And then we have a week for people to send in their feedback, ask questions, different things from the membership. And then it'll go to I believe it's a September board meeting. They can take in that feedback, address some of those questions, look at that kind of stuff, create the board approved budget. And then that's the final one that will be presented at the AGM.
So my question is, do members of the BIA have opportunity to question before that board meeting so that it informs the process? Or are they only allowed to ask questions on the fait accompli that gets brought to the board meeting on the 27th?
They get a week to provide feedback
Thank
to
you. And
before
when
the
is that
board.
window open?
Taylor, do you recall when the that's going out?
So the package is almost ready right now. I think we were waiting for
Me, I think.
one more. Well, I thought there was one more meeting of the board for some reason in between, but I could be mistaken.
No, but it's going out by like beginning of next week, correct?
Yeah, like the package is almost ready to go. It just needs to be read over once or twice more by a few other people, and then it can essentially go out, so we can get it out before the 17th, which is the last day of that'll give people 2 weeks
So
notice.
here's my point, and then I'm done with this because I've been hogging the floor. The point is that last year there was a complaints about, we always hear this about transparency and accountability. So I think we should be erring on the side of as much opportunity for people to see and discuss and to see that it's transparent, and the accountability is coming with us posting the monthly budget statements. That's great. The transparency is for them to be able to input into the process. So if you're telling me they have 10 days to do that, beautiful. Let's find a way to communicate that in advance. Like as of this date, you'll have the chance to input. And we could start doing that this week. We can start telling people that as of this date, you'll have an opportunity to input on the budget. That's my point.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So that's all in the notice. I can send that to you, Rick, if you want to take a read over it first.
Can I make throwing an idea out there, like an engaging type of an idea that we might be able to utilize? I mean, it might include participation by whoever's going to deliver the message, but we could either do one of two things. We can deliver like a short presentation that is videotaped on a computer. So somebody's delivering the presentation of explaining the methodologies that were followed to create the draft budget. So to just give a little bit more color and be a little bit more engaging, something like that could be posted on something like, do we have it?
We have YouTube.
The YouTube channel, and then we could
And we
also
could send them the link.
Yeah, we can control the comments, I think, through YouTube as well, right? So if we're concerned about there being, comments that, if we just want to help manage that. I mean, obviously we want to engage people, we want to get their feedback, but we might provide like an email address to
So
try
to
to get
build
people.
on that, the
Yeah.
city's engaged in the process this month, similar.
Yeah.
We've already had a September 1st training session on how the night will go. And then they've picked 5 nights, one for each ward, where exactly that will happen. There'll be a presentation, opportunity for people to ask questions and for staff to answer the questions. If we do something similar to that, beautiful.
Yeah, I think what's cool is that basically, like in your email, you could embed that video, so people have the opportunity to either not watch the video, which provides more color to what's going on, or they could read the text. Everyone, as we know, is different in the way that they consume information. But yeah, we can provide the video and it'll give that color. But then if we do get that feedback in advance, we can amend the AGM presentation to maybe address some of the specific things that were collected in terms of feedback or questions or concerns, so that, and again, we're not going to get completely sideswiped with concerns that we weren't anticipating, I suppose, right? So does that sound?
I think it sounds great. It's the how on the feedback. I guess it's a town hall kind of format. That's fine with me. I like the idea of having something out there to explain the process, to let people know just the way I did it. It's a bottom-up approach, side input from survey results, a scan of the environment that we're in right now and what we think the future is going to hold in terms of what we're facing, all factored in. The one thing I'm missing is the affordability thing, right? What the anti-taxers are coming out with is that people can't afford it. I don't have a good handle on that.
So I think the answer partly has to be, you can't afford not to have it.
I agree, but
it's how much?
We've got to have something that deals with that statement. People are going to go, well, I'm just barely hanging on. I can't afford $20 more.
I think some of the numbers that are being shown online by these anti-taxers are terrifying numbers to a majority of the small businesses. We should break that down and communicate that a little bit better too. A small business isn't going to be taxed as much as the Oshawa Clinic is, or the bargain shop is. These bigger businesses versus the mom and pop massage therapy shop or something like that. And I
Can I ask you
think
something? Has Daryl Sherman posted his survey results yet?
I have not seen them,
Oh,
no.
that's what I thought you were talking
No,
about.
no, just before with the levy increase and
Oh,
all of
back
that, they
then.
were using these big numbers to, you know, look, they're getting taxed this much money, but it's a
$30,000.
sliding scale,
Yeah.
right? As far as I
Well,
know.
And it is sensationalism at its finest. It's the fundamentalist communication strategy, right? Which
Oh, yeah.
is, oh, well, look at this one case, it's 300% increase. And that, I'm not telling you everyone's gonna pay that, but look, that's what happened
And
here.
exactly, that's
And
being
everybody looks at that and
sensationalized,
says,
yeah.
So we have to deal with that.
Yeah.
There's going to be an increase. The way it sits now, there's an increase and it looks like it's going to be based. And again, when I say increase, it's a reduction from what was proposed the previous year and approved, but it's an increase based on 2 years earlier where it was really undersized.
Yep.
And so, you know, we're in a no-win scenario around the word increase.
So I think as I mentioned at a board meeting, the key is it's a layering in as opposed to last year where it was a snowball at the top of the hill, the bigger the better.
It's there. There's a number that's there and it's more than the previous year.
Sure.
And less than what was approved. So it's,
Focus on that.
well, I don't know. I don't want to be considered as, you know, I get on Daryl's case to go, he's doing the sensational, he's doing the Trump thing. The divide and conquer, let's pick on the big numbers and do that and get everybody all riled up over that. Even his notion about taxation, what you pay for taxes compared to the Oshawa Center and things like that, it's not a like for like. I don't want to be classed in that category to go, oh, we compared it to a number that was approved. I could easily do that. I don't think that's right either. But I come back to the marketing comms team. I think we've got to have our day in court to really explain it. And part of that is the affordability thing. We never in our survey addressed, can you afford more? Because I don't think they just got their levy bill when the survey went out, right?
Yes, well,
It went out
the
with
property
levy.
owners would have received the levy bill, the businesses don't necessarily.
Well, it would have
They-
trickled down to the gross versus net rent, whatever that
Yeah,
is. But-
well, probably would have a month or
release,
so
yeah.
afterwards.
So we're
trickles
gonna,
down.
to me, I'm gonna leave it with you guys. We're gonna have to address it head on.
Yep.
It's the affordability question. You know, you can always say, can you afford not to, but that doesn't necessarily help somebody with it. We gotta look at it and I go, it's probably, if I were the anti-taxers, I'd say it's about a 50% increase on what you paid this year. But somebody would have paid $100. So I
But
say, okay,
here's what
afford
you get
$100.
for your 50%. It's always, to me, it's always value for the money.
Well,
And then if you decide that all those items are good, then you know what the price is. If you decide that, well, no, we really don't want this item and that item, but we like these, then that's what the price is. As long as people understand that it's like people saying, why does the city even have to put up the taxes this year? Okay, well, salary increases, heat, hydro, power, like all of those things have a cost to them, right? We don't necessarily have that, but we have events and we have programs that benefit the debt. That's our mandate.
so I think the pressure we're going to feel is are you guys tone deaf? People just can't afford it. Keep it the same. I don't have an answer for that because I don't have the data that says people can or can't afford this.
So part of the answer to that is, well, how did the Troubadour series work for you? Like with the one business doubled their beer sales the first night. So I'm not saying that we're not going to benefit just those businesses downtown, but it is going to bring people in. But it's one program that had a cost, just a sec, that had a cost that had direct benefit. And if those are the kind of events that you want that actually benefit directly the businesses, then okay, then you're telling us that's where we need to focus. If we do something like Cars on King, which arguably brings people downtown, but doesn't necessarily have a direct benefit to the businesses downtown, it's great for the city, but the point being is, do you want to keep that or not? If you don't, you just...
So we're going to have outcomes. We're going to talk about the outcomes,
Yep.
what our investments are all about. We're targeting outcomes for sure. So people should be able to put those pieces together to go, yeah, if I get more people, then I can get more sales and I can work something out. The trouble is we're not homogeneous. We've got about 4 or 5 vertical industries. And again, the people that are anti-taxers really don't care about how many people come downtown, really don't care about those other pieces. That's fine. You know,
But they never benefited from a BIA budget. Right?
Well, that's fine, but they're getting the mic and they're getting the podium.
Yep.
So it's if we got a good handle on the affordability of everybody else, I'm good with it. If we go, yep, this looks like it's affordable, then we could speak to our messaging about, here's what you get, it's good value, here's the outcomes you receive for that. The trouble is, we need them to show up rather than stay silent.
Yep.
And that show up either comes in the way of the feedback through what we're asking, or the AGM, or both, and they generally don't come.
So that's the point. So the communication for that 10-day window, this is what I guess I'm alluding to earlier, is let's make sure that if the anti-taxers want to have some input on the budget, I'm not saying we shield them out, but the point is the shield is non-existent. Here's your chance. Tell us what you think. And at the same time, we got all these smaller businesses who also want to have an input and a say. And that's what we'll take a look at. We have a survey that backs up things that people said. So that it's all part of putting it all together to get a package and communicate it and saying, this is generally what you want. It's not going to please everybody, but this is what, the board has decided to go ahead and present to City Council.
Okay, fair enough.
So on that basis then, what is our takeaway? That sounds like there's a little bit of work still to be done here to try to.
I like what you had talked about. So we'll have to put some work together. We'll have to put those results together. Think about the engagement piece and how you want to, the medium you want to use to get out there.
Yeah.
And think about in the backdrop of the affordability issue. I don't think you asked the question. I think people are going to say, I can't afford anything. But I think in the backdrop of affordability, extracting what the value proposition is for the people that are paying for this, and making sure they're communicating, yes, I see value in what you're putting together.
And keep in mind that by the end of September, that King Street sidewalk project will be done. The construction stuff will be pulled out. The street will be cleaned up. There'll be a decision coming forward on my proposal to flip the lines on Athol Street and create, it's actually 9 more parking spots over and above what are already there. And there's money in the reserve to do it. So you take away some parking on King Street, you put some of that parking back on Athol, and you create a balance. So all of a sudden, as the downtown starts to clean up, as the Biltmore hopefully opens this month, and big and so forth, then people start to see some energy going forward and see some sense to creating events that bring people for that.
Yeah, it's a matter of getting the support behind that. We know it's there, and there are people who think that way. They just don't happen to come out. So we just have to find a way to demonstrate. We're gonna have to do it to City Council, because there's people on council that are not gonna come back twice for an increase without asking us and us assuring them that we have engaged everybody and this is what the majority want. So, otherwise they're gonna have to show up at City Council to support the thing. And I don't think we want our members showing up 2 or 3 times, once at our AGM, once at City Council. I think everybody's got to run a business. So we've got to build the confidence that we have engaged the broader community and membership, and that they supported this direction.
So let me ask this then, how many people did our survey reach, the percentage of membership?
I don't know.
How many
Don't have those
responses
numbers.
did we get? We don't know yet? Okay.
Oh, I'm sure we know. I just don't personally
Okay,
know.
well, that's
right?
fair. I think that's something that's probably going to be asked as well.
Yeah, because I know that was something Roger was putting together those results. So Taylor and I'll have to look at.
Roger.
Yeah, one of the summer students.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess the point there is, somebody's going to say, well, who actually had a chance to do this survey? Well, we think everybody.
We had more than last year, right? But
and therefore, and who actually answered it? Well, it's anonymous survey. Isn't it?
yeah, it is anonymous. But
but
we
they
can
are
get the
PIA.
number.
Quite frankly, I think members are right. The budget, everything just went in under the radar. I think they were correct in saying, well, we had no idea this was happening, right? The ones who didn't want it certainly claimed it. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily true on their part, but the majority of people really didn't understand where the number came from, how it was done. And I almost think it was done deliberately that way. And it worked. It got approved. Everything went great.
But that's not the process.
No, and I think everyone's going to be really sensitive to that this time around, because the message is still an increase. And I think we're going to get hit hard. We really got to communicate.
I think a minimal increase will go over
better.
What does that minimum mean?
Well, I mean, jumping from whatever it was to 600,000 was a lot. That was a big jump.
But there was justification for it. We eventually we came back-
Justification or not, that's a big number,
Yeah, and
right?
we came back and explained it after the fact, and
Instead of-
we
But
scrambled- and we
it was too
scrambled to
late.
do that.
The damage was done at that point.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I'm that's the lesson learned.
Yeah.
Absolutely astute. I'm trying to go at this going, I got a month, I got a runway of a month, and I'm still communicating a message. It's sitting at a 50% increase, like 267 versus, I'm playing with the numbers right now, but it's sitting at about 390. It's sitting maybe a little higher, but I got to tweak a few things.
And I think,
That's a 50%. That's another 130. So that
but I
puts
think
it
if
up
we
at,
find a happy medium in there somewhere, it will go over much better than such a drastic jump. I mean,
So-
we can gradually increase, and I understand the BIA hasn't had an increase in many years at this point. So I think a gradual increase will go over better with people.
That point last year, when this came forward was, I thought it was big too.
Mhm.
And my clear point was, then we absolutely have to have our ducks in a row. We have to be able to explain the nickels and dimes and just say, and the impact and why it's necessary. That statement still applies this year, right? Even if we had a 0% increase, so some people just want us to cut it, right? So, you know, that whole argument has to be clearly set up and said, here's what it is. And again, we may hear from members and they may want certain things extricated from that to find a way to, okay, if there's going to be an increase, we absolutely want it as little as possible. And some people are saying if there's going to be an increase, we need to have it as much as necessary to create the momentum in the downtown.
so for example, what we talked about welcoming streets, the number one issue that came up is safety and security of the downtown from our members. That's the number one survey issue. And so with welcoming streets, we do a lot of advocacy work and support work. We don't put a lot of dollars to it, but that means we have to have people, right? So this is where people go, oh, well, how much money do you have in administration? Well, what do we get for that? We go, well, we can explain it, but that's a conversation and a dialogue. I don't know that we have enough time or runway to have that dialogue in a meaningful way. That's why I'm looking at, is it a town hall? Is it just emails? Is it back and forth? Is it website we can't manage? So I like the idea of doing a YouTube, starting with the process and then starting to pivot on what does that mean? How does that show up in the budget? But that's a long conversation for people to be involved in. And I don't know that we're going to have that luxury. So I really need a good communication plan, I guess.
Well, we have the opportunity this year that we don't have last year.
We do.
That's pivotal for me.
We do. We're started well. I don't think we're home. So I really need some work there.
Could we do like a day in the life of one of these welcoming street, whatever they are, nurses, representatives, what
Workers.
they are doing down in the community, day in the life of the backdoor mission.
Yeah, hopefully that'll
Sure.
dovetail with the other.
And that's just one of 7 things that the city's working on that we're engaged in. So to be honest with you, I spend a lot of time, Cindy's done a lot of time there, working with the mayor, working on city council agenda items, doing those items. It's time. And all of us have other jobs. This is not my paying job. Should be, but it's not. So I'm looking at it because we don't have anybody else.
We can't
Yeah,
afford
well, for the 2 people we can't afford, they're working on everything else. So
We
in
can't
light of
afford them.
that, this is where our members, I don't think they see that. I don't think so. So when they bring in Canadian Protection, or when they're readjusting the meal allowance, or doing Mission United, or working on the On Point program and those kinds of things, it all comes from the fact of us being involved in those meetings to look at how do we roll this out, what should we do, where's the pain points in the downtown area. It's the time and effort, and we need staff to do it. Some of that number is in there, and not all of it, but this is where people don't appreciate what does it take, right? And so
And as a resident still seeing everything going on, to know that there's a multitude of services helping the issues, it's terrifying. What if we didn't have those services?
There you
Would
go.
it be
That's
20
where-
times worse?
That's what we're
you
talking
know?
about welcoming streets. It's terrible with COVID because we can't do a before and after, because there's no benchmark to compare it. Did it get worse because of COVID, or was it on its way that way without COVID?
Data's probably out there if we look, but
You just made a phenomenally good point, if I might say so, because I don't think people consider that well enough. They always think about, well, you're not doing enough. just stop and think for a second. What if none of these were happening?
If we pulled out all of the services, what would it look like? It
Well,
would be,
There,
you
there
know,
are some businesses that are like, you know what, get rid of all the services and then nobody shows up downtown.
Yeah,
And again, we're not here to talk about policies and programs. We're here to go, this is what we've done. And to your point, I do like it. I don't know what it would have been like had we not did it. It'd been a hell of a lot worse. But that's not comforting to the guy who's trying to keep his business afloat, to going, well, I got to still kick out the 3 guys who relieve themselves on my front door every day or whatever, right?
so here's another point, just as an example, right? What people haven't considered throughout all of this piece is, as soon as COVID hit, St. Vincent's Kitchen went down. And Backdoor Mission was maybe doing a meal or so a week. So that's when the Life Community Project stepped up from Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3 to 7 days a week. And if they hadn't done that, where would we be? You know, they also made the point, you know, we closed the washrooms in Memorial Park. Why? Because of the cost factor and the hygienic factor, and why, you know, it's going to attract people unnecessarily to the park, because a lot of places where they might have gone to the washroom before were closed. And it took me a long time to get to get agreement to put those porta potties up, and to get Mission United to expand its hours, because everybody has to go once a day. And there are people coming here from Whitby and Clarington, right? Because they don't have soup kitchens and they don't have shelters, so we get them. I understand all that, but we have a big heart. We're trying to do the best we can, but we need help. And we're putting in a lot of things out there to try and alleviate the situation. But one of the things that's going to work is St. Vincent's is now going to open on a Sunday to hand out food boxes. Basically, that's a start, but they're not socially distanced in that building. And so the Life Network is probably going to keep going at the park until such time as they can come back to 7 days a week. And if they can, maybe it reduces the, so there's all these factors. Plus, and I'm going on, but there's one more important thing. August 1st, the Landlord Tenant Act Tribunal started hearing eviction cases. So John Walker now, the Life Network, is getting families coming to the park who've now been evicted. And they don't have a place to go. And it's not going to get better. As these cases go through, there's 5 people in his own building that are going through eviction notices. So, you know, this isn't over. The pandemic isn't over. The second wave we keep talking about hasn't come. So we're not really going to appreciably see a change, much as people say, get those people out of Memorial Park so I can use it. Well, you know what? They have a life too. They have a right to music and sociability and food, because they can't get it. So this is my ward, and I've been living this since March, and I have had innumerable amount of time spent on this, and I'll keep spending it until we get something solved. St. Vincent's, if they get on with their project, Simcoe Street South, maybe if they add a high rise to it and put Cornerstone down there, all of a sudden maybe people get drawn down where it might be better for them to be than in a park in the middle of winter. So there are lots of things out there, and thank you for your comment. I intend to utilize that with some people and just say, please try to imagine that without these 7 initiatives that the city actually has funded, and funded sometimes with the region, where would we be? But everybody loves to point the fingers and say what the city's done wrong here, but the city's also done a lot of things right. So we're not there yet, but thank you for that.
Awesome. So I'd like to try to wrap up and take some takeaways here to see how we move forward. And I personally, because Cindy's been leading a lot of the communications planning, I'd like to maybe circle to her. Maybe I could probably do that individually if everyone's okay to have a conversation, to try to circle maybe back to you, Ivano.
Yeah, we have a draft sort of timeline for the budget. Just if you can help nail down the how to engage. I think we know what we want to do in the period we want to get into. I think that's what we need help with, to sort of figure that out. We can do a bunch of things. I like some of your ideas, Isaac. And so we should get on that. But and should we engage anybody else, like the city hall? I know you're doing your town hall. I don't think you want to mix our issues with yours, but is there another way to do this?
Some of them will come up, but that's okay. That's what the Ward 4 town hall is all about.
Well, and we should tell the city to go, hey, you know, we're planning to do this. So if it does come up on your town hall, you go, hey, by the way, here's what they've communicated to us.
So just to recap, going from the 17th to the 27th, we've got our budget thing going on. If those questions come through to the 29th at the Ward 4 meeting, then all of that can come forward to the budget ask on the 14th of October. So that it all helps.
Okay.
Very good. So in terms of timelines as well too, so we would presumably want to get something out pretty soon, I would think, right? If we only got about a month, roughly here, probably, I'm thinking like what, within 10 days?
Yeah.
Type of thing?
Definitely before your next meeting.
Yeah, for sure, right? So.
Well, we have to get the notice out by the
Before the
17th, the very latest. It has to go in the mail and be emailed out.
Can we put a preliminary announcement that the budget input from BIA members will?
We're
run from the
hoping to get it
17th?
out sooner, like we
Yeah.
can, if we can get it ready for the email, we can get it out sooner.
But even to
Um,
let them know they're gonna have that chance coming up without putting some, documentation and so forth. Coming up as of the 17th, you'll have your opportunity.
Let me ask you guys a question. You're all businesses, and even though Amber, you're online. I mean, our levy this year from members was 260. I'm playing with the 390. That's 50% increase on what it was before. Like 390 is way down from 597. So that's we're 200,000 down from the approved. We're 130 up from where you're at today. Is that affordable without knowing everything else that goes with it? Is that affordable? Is that so?
I
Whoever,
think if I can prove a real ROI on the levy, like for example, when you came out with the initial increase, we saw the value in it because you're bringing feet down to downtown. You're going to bring down music festivals and things like that would encourage people to come and stay, not just come down and shop. But my only concern is, our financials have been quite tight since COVID, and we did lay off our staff in March, and we have not brought everybody back. So even a 50% is quite a lot for us as a single business, just because we are so huge. It's a fine line. If we can prove that there will be an ROE, that would be easier to take.
thank you for that.
Ducks in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just for the purposes of follow-up, so I'll immediately circle to Cindy to see if I can nail her down for chat, and then maybe circle back to you, Ivano.
Perfect.
Start having a conversation as well.
Cool.
Okay. As soon as possible. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Sorry guys online. I'm hopeful that everyone if they had something they wanted to add. I know that the discussion was dominated by those here in the room here. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to quickly add as well? Clarissa or otherwise?
Clarissa's gone.
Clarissa's gone? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So hearing nothing, then can we move along to item number 11? Oh, sorry. Give me one moment here. If there was one other thing.
Well, I thought.
Yeah, no. Let's move along. Item number 11. Yeah.
So I'd say item 11 was pretty much discussed in with the social media, because that's basically all that we have available. I'd say the only other marketing campaign would be around the Troubadour series. We did get signs. We have A-frames, and we put them, well, I didn't, but someone else put them in the signs and had them distributed to the different locations so that the businesses can put the signs out each night.
And they're really happy with that. They look good. Thank you very, very much. And we got tip buckets out, all with the same logo on the tip bucket. So it's stepping up. So thank you.
Yeah. So, and this was basically to showcase the two sponsors, BIG and the BIA, to make sure that they were getting recognition. Because when I did go talk to BIG to pick up the check, that was the one question, was how are we being recognized?
And so on the Troubadour series website, I said this week we need to make sure that every post that goes out there is sponsored by every single one that goes out there.
And a big kudos to Taylor for coming up with the graphic for the Troubadour series.
Yes.
Good stuff. Good job.
So there was one thing, I'm not sure whether it's more of a marketing or communications initiative that Cindy brought up, and I know we don't have.
Oh, that's gonna be new business.
Oh, okay, new business. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
I'll just quickly say thank you to those who participated in the Get Active Challenge. I know there's a number of members. I think Bono participated. There were some others. Rick, yeah, that's right, you participated. So
Cindy,
yeah. So thank you, Michael. I know. So thank you to everyone for that. Okay, moving on to number 11. Or sorry, number 12, Digital Main Street update. So do we have a quick update on Digital Main Street?
Yep, so I have sent out the emails and the phone numbers to our businesses. To BACD, there's one specific person, and I believe they're starting to contact people.
Yep.
I have had a couple members who have applied, who have emailed me back saying, when are we hearing? So I sent that email directly to BACD, the person, and saying they're waiting for your contact, rather than waiting to get through the list to them so that they are getting addressed. So if we do know of someone who has applied, then we send that information right away to them.
Remind me, are they providing numbers on like
They will, but they have
numbers
literally
contacted?
just started.
Okay, so that's pretty
So
much okay.
it's been taken up to now to be able to hire and train their staff.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to get their feet on the street.
Okay.
And then we'll be harassing them every week or so to find out, you
That's
know,
for their-
how many people they've contacted, how many of those that they've contacted are actually applying, and how many appointments they've got.
That's for their funding opportunities, right?
Yes, that's for the $2,500.
Yeah, there's a grant available.
Yeah.
We work with BACD through
Yeah.
my work, so
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with them. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so number 13, considerations for the 2021 budget.
That would be if there was any changes, which I don't think, I haven't heard any.
Any comments? No.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I was fine with everything there. Have you had a chance? I missed the last board meeting, so I think there were some discussions.
We were waiting on the
Budget.
events. The events came in. It
Yeah.
kind of pushed us over the top. I'm cycling back with Angela to see what we can do.
Okay.
I think there's room in there, so I think with what we can play with, I think we might be able to make it, so without any major change to anybody's initiatives, I think we can work something out. Again, I'm trying to land it at 390, that's the 50% number. I got that because I went half of whatever we wanted, what we had last year, which is about a little less than half of what we asked for in the increase. And I started landing on that smaller number, on less than half, because I'm looking at what's going on with the second wave, and I think people are just gonna be losing their minds over this thing if it takes off like it did before. And the pivot point on that is if we have to cancel events and everything like last year or this year, next year, we could probably do that before the levy applies in June or July. So we can actually, have that escape clause that, if things go really bad for people who go, hey, you did nothing this year, what makes you think you're going to do something next year? Well, we go, well, that's our plan, is to do it. But we always have a chance around March, April, May, just like we did this year, to reconsider and adjust down.
That's a really good.
I think that may be a really important message to voters
Yeah.
too, because at least it shows our empathy in terms of being able to.
So we pull out events, for example, because that's one the biggest thing, and maybe some promotional things. We pull that out, get it back down to the same number.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the back door plan.
So that's a good point. That's a good point.
But unless there's a lockdown, if there is still social distancing in effect, I can't keep harping on it, but the troubadour can still go. So we still have something that would, the plan is to get a provincial grant and to expand it and to go from at or slightly before the opening of the patio season right through the whole summer this time. And if the Generals do get the Memorial Cup, the idea is to start the Troubadour series the week before it starts, so we get all the wrinkles ironed out.
Yeah.
And then every night after a game or whatever, if they want to go out and find an outside patio and have a drink and listen to some music, it keeps them downtown.
Yeah, sure.
New business?
Okay, so Cindy did have one suggestion that she wanted us to bring forward for new business, and that was Christmas cards. So I'm not sure if that was for the BIA to purchase business cards and send to the members, or exactly what her ideas were for that. I'm not sure if Taylor has any more information on that either.
I think it was more of like a Christmas card from us to the membership, just, kind of celebrating the holiday season, saying thank you, kind of just that outreach piece, and just a nice overall gesture. I know it was just being brought up now because it's one of those things that's gonna have to be designed, possibly make a little bit of room in the budget for, and then send out prior to Christmas and the holidays.
That'd be electronic, so there's no cost.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I just wanted to add, what about like Elf Yourself? And you can, all the board members could do an elf and send it out to the members so there's no cost.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I was when Cindy initially brought the idea, I definitely thought we could take it both, have a virtual like e-card as well as a printed one, but we can explore all avenues. I know sometimes with the e-cards or those Elf Yourself type of things, there can be a cost depending on whether it's a premium or how many people you're sending it to, but we can definitely look into that over the next month and then bring more ideas back to the next meeting.
Cool. One other thing I might even just throw out there, I think Christmas messages are great. One thing in my business, or lessons learned from my business, is that I've learned and been told a lot of times that around the holiday time that your greetings or your messages can easily get diluted because there's a lot of stuff out there. Sometimes I've had it suggested that even Thanksgiving is a unique time to deliver messages, and you can build it around, you know,
Or New Year.
thanks
Happy
and
New Year
thankful,
instead, looking forward to-
or yeah,
looking
or
through the
something
new
to
year.
that point.
Kick the heck
Exactly.
out of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Like back to the future. You say, whatever you do, don't set it for 2020.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely the point being that you know, there's tons of stuff that goes out right around Christmas. The message might get diluted, and you know, your efforts might get not ignored, but you know, might not be as effective, I guess. At that
I
time.
like the New Year idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, get Christmas over with. Now let's look ahead.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on with COVID and everything else, I think we still, even if it is still here, it's a case of we have a plan in place to get us through this and beyond it. And here it is. So let's work together for 2021.
Yeah.
All right, I like those ideas.
I seem to like the New Year idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would echo the costless solution if we could, doing it digitally somehow. There's lots of really unique stuff out there. Taylor, you might even be privy to some of them where, again, they're more engaging greetings as well too. That might even be free. I don't know.
I'd be fine just going around to businesses to wish them. I think that would be more as a business, something.
If you've got the time though.
Yeah, it takes us an entire week to hit every member.
Really?
Yeah, it does.
People like to stop.
This is
Yeah, Christmas carols.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. You have to realize that right on the corner,
I'm splitting with you.
you've got like 4 or 5.
That's true.
You
Yeah,
know, you
some
go
of the
into
blocks.
57 Simcoe, and there's
Yeah.
probably closer to 10 businesses in there,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it did.
Okay.
Last summer, it took us an entire week with 4 of us. Now, if we did one day, all 4 of us, but it took me the rest of the week to hit the rest of the businesses.
Wow. I
Yeah.
thought there was like 250. So I'm
No.
mistaken.
Yeah,
My
no,
apologies.
I know the numbers out there are like, oh, you only got this many members.
Yeah.
It's like, you've never gone door to door to see everyone.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that aren't on the main street, right?
Tell me about door to door.
Yeah.
Last time I did was before we expanded boundaries.
Yeah.
Too, so,
Ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there a consensus then on going digital versus doing like a paper-based card?
I think so.
Digital, yes, yes. What would you think, Melissa?
I think a digital one would be, yeah, I'd be fine.
Yeah, and
Do you even keep
for-
a printed card if you get it from somebody else? I don't.
I do, but I cut them out to make it.
But here's the other thing. What's the cost perception, right? You get a digital email or digital card, or you get a paper card. Why are you guys wasting money on Christmas?
that's
Exactly.
the other thing
Right?
too, yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
whether we hit everybody or not, the fact that we've made an attempt and it's 0 cost, I think that's optics.
We should be able to do it efficiently as well too, right? Which I think is important.
Well, yeah, there is a
Push the
cost if
button.
we do it through MailChimp, but that's like $25.
And I think if
Okay.
it was maybe a video of someone saying, thank you so much, we appreciate all of that you're doing, like
I
a
understand how
little
hard this
Santa
is.
hat or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's more personalized as well.
Santa.
There you go.
What am I getting
So-
pointed at?
Just use Santa.
So should we
Oh,
bring?
yeah, oh, no, I've done that. I hate duping kids.
So could we chat further about this at the next meeting? And do you guys have the time to look in? Taylor, do you have the time to look into a solution for how we would distribute it?
Yeah.
Maybe a couple concept ideas or creative ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. I can start drafting up some ideas and looking at some different websites or different things we can use to do it all.
Did you come up with some basic concept that you can bring forward next meeting, and then
Yeah.
hopefully Cindy might be available to join us so she can add her 2 cents. And Rick has a point to make as
I
well,
do.
too.
what normally would happen at this committee with delegation? What do you do with that? What happens to that particular delegation?
Great question.
So it goes in the notes, and then we can refer back to the notes to see who's done what. And it's highlighted. So in this case, Taylor's name will be highlighted with the note for creative concepts and ideas.
Okay, and Christopher Parkinson.
Yeah, he's referring to the delegation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, we got pitched on something in a manner of
sorry.
speaking today.
Yeah.
So what do we do with that pitch? Where does it go from here? I mean, the
Well, we
council-
decide whether or not we want to, look at it further. We need to look at all the other quotes and things that we have been gathering for looking at what we're going to do for 2021 for the marketing, right? So that'll be put in the mix with that.
So I hate to be persistent, but I know that the gentleman who presented is persistent. So when would that decision be made? How would that decision?
So that
be
decision
made?
takes as long as it takes for this committee to decide that, but that will be starting the next meeting because, right now the main focus has been on the AGM and, trying to get the communications and stuff for that.
The
So
October meeting, we might revisit and then have a more.
well, not just revisit, we'll be looking at all of the different possibilities for designing our marketing plan for 2021.
Thank you. That just gives me, so if I get queried or whatever.
Yeah,
I
and then
just keep in
that's
my
also why I reminded him, because he said, no one answers, and it's sort of like, no, I've told you this is, we're gathering information, so that we need to.
Do we, as a matter of process, and again, forgive me
Yeah.
because I've just been chair for a little bit, but do we send a little note out to our delegations to set expectations?
We haven't, but I will send him a note because he also,
it's
during
like
this
that.
meeting, sent me another note
Would be
that
good.
I'm a little concerned about.
So here's another question, and the question would be is, that's why I asked him pointedly, is there a cost factor?
You
How
never
is this
answered.
monetized?
Yeah.
So the point is, if it's monetized, then surely we would need to make a decision on this if it has a financial impact on us before we do the budget. So that's where the time.
Well, we've got a budget number, but that's one thing that we can go back and I'll go back and say, what would the budget be? What are the costs associated with this so that we can put it in the mix.
I got nothing.
I'm a little unsure what he was really trying to sell us, to be fair. I mean, it sounded like it's a business level thing, not an us thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a B2B thing.
Yeah, if you want to
Yeah.
advertise, that should be up to the business. That shouldn't be up to us, right?
And everything that came across was a lift off of an existing platform, like Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats.
He had
or
1, 2, 3,
CP24.
4, 5,
So-
6, 7 things on the go.
Yeah, so again, I think you guys need to work it through, but I think your point is well taken. What's the real ask? What's the real cost?
Mhm.
The
Can I
cost.
speak candidly on this as well?
Yep.
So Christopher approached the Holiday Inn Express and he wanted us to work with him. And I'm a franchise. I have certain brand standards from Intercontinental Group. So I can't just post things willy-nilly. And I declined his his proposals. And he got really kind of aggressive. He was really rude and kept, harassing us about it. So I just wanted to bring that to light, that his business practices weren't wonderful. So I would not employ any of the his CMP TV. It would not be happening at the hotel.
So again, I would echo that. I mean, he's an aggressive character for sure, historically with us, in terms of what I understand. But the issue is, I don't know that there's anything there that we could turn around and go, well, hold on a second. If you want a CP24, you just turn the channel on.
Yes.
If you want Uber Eats, you just call them. So I'd still like to ask him questions because my sense is, are you trying to establish a network of drivers that deliver food for us, or are you channeling the order through Uber Eats and striking a deal with Uber Eats? So it's like he's embedded himself in some sort of supply chain activity, and I'm not sure where the value is yet.
I also don't see people that use things like Uber Eats that has a multitude of different restaurants that you could choose from, switch to a different platform that has 3 or 2. It's it's a great concept, I think. That's why I asked him what other VIAs he's done this with, and he hasn't yet. Because I think it would work once you've got a bunch of businesses on board, but it's getting there first that I don't think we were gonna see like a good return on.
But I do get a strategy of let's get the BIA as a channel for
Right.
him through to all 400 businesses, because other than that, he has to walk the street himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a networking opportunity, I think.
Wow,
for
so-
him, so.
And again, you can still do that as a member of the BIA anyway, so you can approach people one-on-one, but again, I don't know where the value is
Yeah.
yet, so you guys can work through it, but I don't think you have a big rush on it.
That's right. That's right. But I think, yeah, if we can send a note out to him. that would-
So is it a case of, go ahead, Christopher, and do whatever you do in the downtown and all the best to you, but it's not something that we condone or support or can support? Or is like, that's why I asked my pointed question about the ACE Hub and about how it might benefit the brand and the arts and entertainment cultural venues downtown. If it does, but again, does that need to come to the BIA? Is this monetized by us? If it isn't, then thanks for letting us know what you're doing in the downtown and all the best with it. So is there a budget impact or not? It doesn't seem to be a budget impact. So how does this go forward? Because you can bet, the comment came up about aggressiveness. You can bet it's going to come back.
I think your approach is put together your questions. I think one of the questions is what's the ask? And I think you want him to answer that pointedly as opposed to, I think we just got a drive-by shooting about a bunch of things he's working on. And I can't quite figure out exactly how we benefit or what the value is for us, as well as the members, as well as the cost. So I think you want to script him very tightly with questions, and then you want answers to those to figure out.
Okay, poignant answers, not.
And I don't know Christopher personally, if he's hoping to use the BIA as a conduit to access the members. Given some of the comments around his aggressiveness, I'd be concerned. I think we'd want to have some more conversations with some other people who have
It would
dealt with them, but
it would be join as an associate member. You can join and you have access to the members like everybody else does.
That's right.
I'm also
The
curious.
rest of people who apply their trade have to do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm also curious, he had mentioned that he had been on Dragon's Den. Did he say whether or not the Dragons had actually supported him?
I don't think so. I think he doesn't take the rejection very well.
But you know what, like, just as a, I don't know, they seem to be very smart.
I think there was great ideas in there, like the Planet gift cards. I think those are cool.
Yes.
I think we could do something ourselves so without that third party. We could have downtown bucks that could be spent
So you
at
do
downtown
that,
businesses.
and let's say you stole it.
And also
But he's
because
stolen
we're-
all of those ideas. I mean, gift cards are nothing new, right? That's people have been doing gift cards
For decades.
for decades, right? So, I mean, if they were more original ideas, 100%. But a lot of this, like I said, down is being piggybacked off of other ideas, which is great. So, but yeah, I mean, there are elements to it I liked, but to use a whole service around it, I think might be.
Let him do it in Peterborough first for a year, see how it goes.
Track record.
Yeah, yeah.
This was presented to the city in my first term of council, and the city didn't opt for it. And again, there was some aggressiveness, and the city manager was steamed about it. But the point being that they didn't see the business plan, and they didn't see the financials working, and they're not quite sure how it was going to work for the city. And again, there was no real track record. So, when you're going to go to a large corporation like City of Oshawa and suggest that they support something or pay for this or do whatever, the reasonable question is due diligence, and please show us your track record. Well, there wasn't one. So, and why is that? Is it because it's so new that nobody's signed on, or has it been tried several times and nobody's signed on? So the city just backed off. So in all fairness, some of the points he's made to me, I just said, okay, so why don't we bring you into a BIA meeting and you can let us know what you're doing, and then the BIA can decide. And that's exactly what will happen.
It's good and it's fair for everyone to have an opportunity to do that, right? So very good. So I think, aside from that, I think we're on to item number 15, which is to adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.
One of the new members, you can move to adjourn.
Yes.
A motion to adjourn.
I second it.
There we go.
Perfect. Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And thanks for hanging in there. It was a bit of a longer meeting today. Lots of important things.
I promise we won't be talking budgets after this once we get it through